day's about just the launch of the centenary, letting people know that the centenary's on next year, 100 years obviously, and very excited about it, and we've got some very special events planned next year.
Yeah, it's an honour to be here today. It's a big day for the club and a big year next year for the club. So it's been a huge part of my life. I've spent 20 years at this club and it means everything to me. So it's going to be a great way to celebrate today starting.
The famous Red V still burns very deeply, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll always be a Dragon.
Welcome to the official launch of the Centenary program for the St George District Rugby League Football Club and the St George Illawarra Dragons.
We're all in some way tied together with a bond and the spirit of the famous Red V. I thank you all for your attendance and ongoing support of the club.
100 years has achieved that remarkable run, the 50s and 60s, never before, never again is the saying, and it's got a great spirit and it's very strongly supported by the local community. It still retains that local element, which is one of its great strengths.
Who were your favourites and why was it so special for you?
Well, I suppose because of my age, I was attracted by people like Reg Gasnier, and I think were born in the same year, and Raper and Provan and all those fellows. But that was a remarkable team, and whenever you think of the greats of rugby league, Graham Langland's of course another one, you have to think of that extraordinary clutch of St George players.
The Honourable Johnny Howard, he's been unbelievably good for the Dragons forever, and he's just terrific. And it's just good to have people here, like we've got Carol Raper here today, and that'd be true. Johnny Riley, and and then you got Benny Hornby, you got Dean Young, so we've got the guys from the Never Before, Never Again, and as well as the new crew coming through.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a big achievement for St George to get 100 years. It's obviously been a local junior. It was always a dream of mine to play for the club, and now I'm lucky enough to do that. Hundreds of good players and so much history and so much success in the past, and to be a current player, hopefully we can bring that success back in the next few years.
There's so much history and tradition behind the club. Even though since the merger's come in, you've got to celebrate the history of the club. I think no other club has won 11 in a row, and respectfully, I don't think anyone ever will. But it's great to be a part of. The club's been good to me individually, and obviously as a family they've been good as a whole.
The famous family surname and the success that you both enjoy.
Yeah, look, very lucky. I would have liked to have as many premierships as Uncle Reg and maybe even Norm Provan, but look, I think winning one's probably better than some get throughout their career. So no, very happy I got that opportunity, and again, it's always nice to come back and see familiar faces and celebrate the history and the tradition of the club.
Why is the famous Red V so important to you and so close to your heart?
Well, I grew up about 1 kilometre down the road. I was born in St George Hospital. All my junior football, I played the grand final only. It was the only game we were allowed to play at Jubilee Oval in the day, and it was just so special. I used to come and watch Craig Young play when I was, 14, 15, 16, and 2 years later, I was playing with him. It was just the most amazing ride. There was Craig Young, Nick Beattie, Brian Johnson. They were heroes of mine, and when I was 18, I was actually training with them, and they're still heroes of mine. I'm 51 this year, and I still look at them, and Ricky Walford. I still look at those guys and just go, they're legends, and they're mates of mine. So.
It's somehow, out of all that, they've got to pick the team of the century. How tough a job is that going to be next year?
Well, I passed it on. It is. Honestly, until you sort of sit down and start to go through, you don't realise how difficult that is. Like we're struggling to get the top 100, let alone to get it down to the actual team. So, as I said, I flicked that on. That's gone to Roy Masters. He can handle that.
Well, actually, Roy Masters is kindly, he's the chairman of the selectors, so Roy and a few others have got that hard job. We're going to have split it up into decades first and get the best 100 players and take it from there.
It has to be a mixture of nostalgia and looking to the future. You're entitled, when you've been such an extraordinarily successful club as St George, to think of the past glories. But the people who run the club now and play for the club now know that you can't live on past glories. you've got to build for the future.
It's a history. You know, you look at anything that makes it special, no different to State of Origin, it's the history that makes it. It's those players before you that create that tradition, rivalry. You know, you hear the old stories of different things from how they used to prepare to games to what it meant to them, you know, to win those competitions. And they never took it for granted. They really never did. And I think it's important that all players that come and put on the jersey understand that. Probably took me a while to understand it. I think as a young guy you don't understand it fully, and then as you get older you really take it in and realise everything that you got to play for was done by those before you.
Dragons' history, 100 years, it's just an amazing thing, and just terrific that, you know, it's such a great club, and you know, that red V is just so important. It's just fantastic.